I understand exactly what you meant the minute you said, like, you had to be the Blanche Dubois. Being this size, I used to come from Tennessee. I knew I had to get out before someone put a cigar in my hand and made me play Big Daddy on Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. I was just not,
Yes.
because as I got older and this got grayer, I knew it was coming. I needed to run. I just didn't want to. I didn't want it to happen.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So we've been asking you so many questions about your play. We have what we call our Take 5. It's 5 questions we ask everybody. So
yeah,
our first question is always like, what about theater turns you off? Just doesn't hit with you, doesn't work for you?
Seeing the same plays by the same very talented, very white, very men, I think, and that kind of being the yes, the big nods, yes, and that being the roles that were written by these men being like the be all end alls, like kind of like the Blanche Dubois. You gotta play Blanche, you just have to, or just stuff like that. Yeah, just the very small amount of roles that we look at and we're like, oh wow, you got to play him, you got to be Logan from Death of a Salesman. Whoa, you know what I mean? So stuff like that.
All right, what turns you on about theater? What are your loves? What really hits you?
I love seeing real life people do something in what was like real time for them. So even if you have digital theater and you like filmed it, I love the idea of there being like no edits and takebacks, no redos. This is for all of its facade, theater is also like as real as it gets at the same time. It's just, and we accept so much like heightened dialogue that we don't accept in a film. There's nothing like it. I love it because there's just nothing like it in the world. There's no other medium.
I agree. We're reviewers. It's our favorite thing in the world. If you're going to do this as a career path, you better love theater.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Because no one's asking you to be a theater reviewer.
No one says, could you do this? You have to like decide for yourself, I'm going to do this. And being a playwright is exactly the same. Like nobody asks you to be a playwright. You're just like, I'm going to do this now.
That's a fact.
Okay, then it's a time of failure, and what did it teach you?
I would say that early on in my career, it was the first the first play I wrote. It was a musical called One More Fine Day, and it was going to the Midtown International Theater Festival, and it was being directed by someone who I knew, and it was my child, and I went to a few rehearsals, and I watched how it was being handled, and I was super vocal, not in front of the cast, but I was very vocal about what I felt, and the musical ended up changing hands, and since then I have learned once somebody gets my piece, that's it for me. That's it for me. I don't go in there and sit behind them and whisper in their ear while they're trying to direct my piece. If you haven't done a thorough enough job with what you have put on the page, then that's kind of your fault. and it's theirs to interpret now. And that's just the beauty of the collaboration. It's the beauty and the terror. And I'm sure you understand being a playwright as well. You gotta let it go. And it's freeing and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, I bet. And it's funny because like a lot of the people we've been talking to they're both the writers and either their spouse is the director, which I actually, those are fun dynamics depending on who you're talking to. And or they're writing, directing their own stuff. So seeing your play where it's like seeing Dearie where you're sitting there and it's a different director, seeing your voice and his voice kind of like in harmony, it worked really well. So like I think you got your voice across so clearly through your words that you could send it to anybody and I think your play would work just as well. In fact, you might see like
fantastic.
You might see it take off in new directions depending on what director gets a hold of it. Okay, question number 4 would be what has been a success and what did you learn from it?
The other side to that coin would be the next play that I wrote called Little Bites, and it's about sexual assault and it's mostly a comedy. So that was one where I gave it to the director completely and didn't come to any rehearsals, was not involved in it at all, and then got to go and sort of be an audience member. And that was, I don't know if I felt a better feeling than that yet. That was just, it was so much fun to have it happen to me as it happened to everyone around me. And to me, that was a really just a wonderful experience that you can only get in that setting. So.
Oh, that's so cool. That's definitely those great moments where like you kind of see your work anew, right? It's like it's almost like it's a whole new play.
Yeah, exactly. And the things that they do that you didn't think of, you're so happy to see it. I mean, you give your play to smart people, they're going to do smart things, and they're going to be smart in ways that you're not. And if you are humble enough to be like delighted by that instead of threatened by it, then it's just the best feeling.
I love that so much. I love when artists are like, here's my art, and like they're willing to be vulnerable like that, because so much good comes out of that. So much like excellent. That's where the real work begins, I think, in theater, is when an artist is like, I trust you, you take this. And then like a director and a whole bunch of people come together and it becomes that beautiful symphony of a whole bunch of different moving parts. And
oh yeah.
All right, our last question is, if there was a rule named after you, like 40 years from now, kids have their theater textbooks and there's a rule with your name on it, what is that rule? What is that theater rule other people should know?
Oh, it's gonna make me sound so crotchety. Don't try to get other actors to laugh on stage with you, because it's a good inside joke between the two of you, but people can tell in the first 3 rows that you're cracking up and it takes them out of it. Rule. The Caitlyn rule.
Uh-oh. Okay, you gotta explain that.
There's a story attached to this one.
And there are just like several. It's just like, those people who come off stage after a scene together and they're like, and you're like, what? And they're like, so it was this scene and everyone was crying, and so I wrote penis on this piece of paper and I showed it to him and he had to not laugh and he had to keep crying, and I'm just like, oh, stop. And this sounds like it's 8th grade, but it's not. These are like grown-ups. And I know saying grown-ups sounds like I'm in 8th grade, but
no, okay, now that I hear that, coming from like, I'm community theater trash. I came from like community theater. And so we've had so many times, because our theater, and when the region and the smaller community theaters in my hometown, there would be one like back wall that's just permanently there. And every set is just there because they didn't have enough money to buy something else. And so everyone would write on the back wall. And some of the times when you were about to enter, you would see something written on the wall that was, someone put there just to like, oh, I bet he's going to read this. And now he has to come out and give this like huge line or something. And I was like, when I find this man, I'm going to punch him in the freaking face.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I understand exactly. And when you have a director or a stage manager who threatens enough violence to make sure that doesn't happen, you're really good.
It's right.
So you get a stage
yes,
manager.
exactly, though. Exactly.
Yeah. You just, in community theaters, you need a stage manager with a battle axe or a gun and somewhat to threaten enough violence.
That is so true.
That's a great practical rule. I think that's the most practical, like, in stage rule we've heard, because we've heard like some emotional answers, some like, you know, technical answers,
some philosophical answers.
But yeah, you're the first one who's like, no, literally, do not do this anymore. And I love that.
Literally, stop writing penis. Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, guys, this was so fun. You guys are awesome.
We love you. Please keep in touch with what you're doing next. Email us.
Absolutely.
Friend us on Facebook. We're very boring. But definitely keep in touch. Like, we tell people all the time, like, half of this, we make either the mistake or the joy of becoming friends with people we review. And we're like, you are now our friend and you will hang out with us. So yeah, keep in touch. Tell us everything. Don't be afraid to like, oh, they won't want to hear about this 10-minute play I wrote. I want to hear about the 10-minute play you wrote. So tell us everything.
Guys, absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to hear about your book too. That is very interesting to me.
We will keep you posted. We're
writing
doing
it like we blocked out 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Of hardly any reviews to like write it. Like,
so we're doing first draft now, and then second draft in December. So like,
oh my god,
we might email you like, Caitlyn, we need beta testers. Would you like to beta test?
Yes. Oh, I love it.
So
I love it. That's so cool, and it's so cool that you're doing it together too. I think that's amazing. That blows my mind. Yeah, it's awesome.
That makes us so happy, because when people say that, we're like, oh, good, we're not crazy.
Okay.
So yes, keep in touch. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we're on all of it.
Awesome.
That's it. You were awesome. Thank you for talking to us and taking time. Yeah, message us with everything.
You got it. You guys are great. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You too.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Hey guys, if you like what we just did, there's going to be plenty more coming up. Please like, comment, subscribe. Our Venmo is in the description. Please support us if you can. Our cats need the money.